obviously the panorama has always changed, but we think that in the past 18 months there has been an acceleration in the change, and maybe today we can say that FDI has entered in a new era. Why? Because everything has changed. Everything, which means sectors, sources, activities, modes of investment. So this is obviously a first great change. The second big change, especially for the Western Europe and North America, is that the projects are smaller and specialized. Specialized means that most of the projects are focused on just one function, while in the past there were projects regarding several functions, for example, manufacturing and logistics, manufacturing and R&D, manufacturing and R&D plus sales and marketing plus customers support center, for example. What we see today in the market is that more and more the projects are just focused on one function, because the value chains at the sector and at the corporate level are more and more fragmented, and so you can locate each part of the value chain where the best conditions are in relation at this precise segment of the value chain. And for me it's really I would say the most important change in the market, because you cannot think no more, or at least no more as in the past, in terms of sectors. Now you have to think in terms of activities, functions, whatever the name, but in terms of segments based on activities and functions. Obviously in this context, it's not a surprise if I say that there is a stiff competition for this project, and as FDI has become more political, especially in Western Europe and in North America. For those who work in North America, it's quite impressive to see, especially in the past 2 years, how FDI has become extremely political in every meaning of the word, and maybe it is something that we can discuss during the break after my presentation. So obviously if the market has changed, this means that you, the EDOs, the Economic Development Organizations, you also have to change and to revisit your business model. I think what is important is, I wanted, before going deeper into the details and into the figures, numbers, I wanted to give you an overview of my own experience. I began to work in this field 19 years ago. So I was 12 at that time, and so what was the FDI market at that time? Well, it was, I would say, respect to what it is today, a very simple market. Why simple? Because there were large projects. Mainly all these projects were from and to the developed world, so Western Europe, North America and Japan. So in terms of source countries and world regions, it was quite simple. In terms of function, there were mostly manufacturing projects. I can tell you, because I have worked for almost 10 years in Italy, and 90% of the projects I have followed during my 10 years in Italy, precisely in the 90s, were manufacturing-oriented projects. Sometimes manufacturing plus logistics, sometimes manufacturing plus R&D, but there was, in 90% of the cases, manufacturing in the project. As there were manufacturing projects, they were mainly incentive seeking, because, as we all know, it's true that it can be important to have a cluster, to have a highly qualified workforce for manufacturing projects, but, well, we are all together in the same room and we can be, I would say, quite frank in the discussion. Every region in Western Europe and North America can pretend to have a highly qualified workforce. So it's, yes, it's important, but it's not something that made the difference, because there was and there is still a highly skilled workforce almost everywhere in Western Europe and North America. So obviously an element of differentiation was the logistic aspect, and the second one was the incentive aspect. This means also that the solutions were mostly location solutions. So I will go a little bit more further into this expression later, but it's important. I think that today we should not just think in terms of locations, we should think more in terms of solutions, which in case will be obviously location-based, but we have to think in terms of solutions. What we have to propose to a company is first of all not a location, it's a solution. At that time, the marketing, the brochures that the agencies could produce were, I would say, quite similar to the one used in the tourist business. So tourist marketing approach, so nice pictures, nice, well, trees, nature, sometimes high-speed train in the middle. Well, there is still, but the high-speed train in the middle, but I would say yes, tourist marketing approach and a clear FDI remit for agencies, specialized agencies on FDI. So this was in the 90s. For me, the first shock, the first big change in the market happened during the previous crisis. So 2000, 2002. And the change that we had in 2000, 2002 was the evolution toward a different FDI markets. Skills seeking, so more skills, talent, I would say highly skilled workforce seeking, a steady increase in volume of projects in line with economic growth, because the last 10 years, except the last two years, been years of high economic growth, contraction in size of projects, especially for the Western Europe and North America, North American agencies and locations. Manufacturing moved east, and obviously with the manufacturing, all the supply chain, little by little, and you will see it later in the figures. The agencies began to think more and more in terms of sector and developed some private sector best practices such as key account management, and even in the targeting they introduced more and more some focused targeting approach. Obviously an increased competitive environment, because there were no more only the developed countries as destination and source regions for FDI. Rise in outsourcing, obviously, and last but not least, the emergence of the so-called Greek, Brazil, Russia, India and China economies.